Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of AI Vantage, Aging Services Thought Leadership on Technology and Innovations and AI. My name is Majd-Alwan. I'm the founder and CEO of All-One AI Vantage, which focuses, as you probably know, on advancing technology and innovation strategies, adoption and growth, particularly in the aging services sector. Today, it's my pleasure and honor to welcome Neal Forse, who is the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of IoT Solution Group Limited in the UK. And IoT, of course, for those of you who do not know, stands for Internet of Things. So welcome, Neal, and thank you for taking time to be here today.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So today, Neal and I are going to discuss one of his group's solutions, which is focused on monitoring older adults that they're distributing in the UK, and that has significant potential value potentially for older adults in the US, especially those that are in home care or could benefit from home care and living alone. So why don't we start by sharing, Neal, by sharing your background and information about your company and your products related to aging services field.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So we started IoT Solutions Group in 2018 with expressive understanding that we named our business IoT Solutions, and people would very quickly understand what we did. But we're still at trade shows and people still ask what we do. So quite tick that box. But in essence, what we do is we provide end-to-end solutions. And there are many IoT vendors out there who claim to provide end-to-end solutions, but we really do. In as much that we design all of the hardware sensor devices ourselves, we manufacture them ourselves in a contract manufacturer, and we deploy those devices. We connect them to carrier-grade 3GPP compliant LPWAN networks, and we aggregate all that data back to our own AWS cloud instance with our own software stack and our own AI engines to interpret that raw data to give insights to our customers. So when we say end-to-end, we really mean from the sensor to the insights, principally because I'm a control freak and I like to be in control of everything. But it means that we're able to really fit a very precise use case and a very precise business need with absolute efficiency. IoT is a low margin, high volume business, and you need to be able to be very efficient in your execution in order to make an ROI that makes sense for the customer.
Excellent, excellent. So what are some of the major trends that you are seeing either in the IoT sort of sector or more specifically in the aging services sector in the UK or more globally?
Sure, yeah. So I kind of call it a perfect storm, and that is the demographic in the globe as a whole is aging. I think a frightening statistic is by 2030, there will be more over 65s than under 20s, and that number is growing very, very fast. And so that difference is growing very fast. So what we have here is an aging population. That's great. We're all going to live longer and have healthier, longer, prosperous lives, but there isn't the infrastructure or the capability of manpower coming into the market to look after us all in our old age. So really, technology is going to be, and is already, to be frank, a huge part of driving efficiencies into that care domain. And I'm not talking about robots here, giving you a bed bath. That's feasible in the future. What I'm talking really here is about the ability to have data-driven prioritization of focus. As the number of carers and there's a number of those professional personnel that are able to provide care for those aging populations. As the numbers grow, or their time is ever more precious. And how do you make sure you get the carer to the person at the point they need it, when they need it? Well, you can do a lot with technology, as we do, and you can monitor the well-being of the individual, and you can give a data-driven prioritization to that care focus. And I think that in itself is a huge trend that we've seen accelerate over the last decade or so. Not in part because of the fact that the technology is able to do that. We have amazingly low cost compute capabilities with cloud infrastructure, and those low cost compute capabilities are on an exponential increase of capability based on the introduction of AI. We have an ever decreasing cost of silicon, an ever increasing capacity of batteries, which means we can drive a lot of low cost sensor data into this cloud analytics, and they could be surfaced as insights to help that data-driven prioritization. So yeah, we're seeing a huge sea change of focus with regard to, historically there was a button in a box scenario, a pendant for an elderly person in their home. And the challenge with that is the British Medical Journal produced a white paper. Their analysis said that they are 92% ineffective. If you're deploying emergency buttons that are 92% ineffective, then what hope have we got, really? So, they're ineffective because people don't push them, they don't want to be a burden, they forget to put them on in the morning, or they forget to charge them, or they leave them in the drawer, or there's lots of reasons why they're ineffective. So
absolutely, especially if they have some sort of dementia or are getting forgetful, like I am.
And right? That's what happens as we get older, right? And my grey hairs is not getting any better.
Same here.
And the forgetfulness of just really important aspects to our lives can be pivotal. So passive monitoring of activity, where the resident, the elderly person, the vulnerable independent person, as we call them, they can go about their daily lives and not have to worry about interacting with a device, checking in or logging on, or they just are free to live their lives. And that's really powerful when around them are devices that monitor their activities passively and obtrusively, and then aggregate that data seamlessly to give a prioritization. So they get a phone call when they didn't expect it, when they've slowed down, and say, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay?" Which otherwise wouldn't happen. And that's a dialogue, a catalyst for action to make sure that person gets the focus of attention and care that they need.
Excellent. So as a roboticist in a previous life, I'm not disagreeing with you, although I see potential for physical robotics, right? In especially in services, right? In delivery, in dining halls, and in autonomous robots that mow your lawn and so on and so forth, support your independence. I have a Roomba, and it helps me clean after the cats and come back to a clean home when I'm on travel. I also have robotic food dispensers. So, and my cats are even toilet trained, and I have Alexa flush the toilet for them 7 minutes after they use it and leave, so that it doesn't startle them. So great. Tell us a little bit about your product, specifically the innovative product that you are deploying in the UK for social care. What does it monitor? How is it received? The value, the impact that you've seen as a result of this particular device, and so on and so forth.
So the product that we have in the adult social care space today is a product we call DorisCare. It's called DorisCare simply because I was talking to a potential, they are now a customer, and I was going, imagine Doris, she's 92, she lives alone, how do you know she's okay? And the reason I picked Doris was because that was the name of my dinner lady when I was at school. Just this sweet old lady, I needed a name. And then I kept repeating this anecdote to lots of opportunities, and they came back to us and said, yeah, we want to try your Doris device. So the name's kind of stuck. But DorisCare is the name we have. And the product was born really out of a scenario whereby we're an IoT solutions company selling IoT solutions outside of adult social care. And all our customers during the COVID period were saying, oh, we don't need smart parking at the moment because we're on lockdown, people aren't using their cars. We don't need to accelerate our smart bin and smart waste management process because people aren't using public spaces or parks where they need to manage the bins. In fact, we're going to put all your projects on hold, Neil, until COVID's over. And in an early day startup, you're kind of thinking to yourself, this is not a great position to be in. And so I would go back to all my customers and say, well, is there a use case in these COVID times that I can help with? And what came to me as a shock was that a common element was we need all our customers, that's local authorities specifically, local governments, are saying we need to stop finding dead people in bed. And that's quite a harsh.
That's really,
what
yeah.
The hell are you talking about? Yeah. But the truth hurts, right? The truth hits hard. And what was happening was vulnerable independent people would get COVID, would get lethargy, would go to bed with lethargy, but wouldn't get out again. And obviously the cost to housing schemes to find that was increasing and huge. But the moral imperative is to find those conditions before they happen. And so I was really asked to come up with a solution whereby, is there a monitoring solution that can monitor the well-being of an individual in their home such that it can be installed socially distanced? Okay, because everything on the market that monitors the well-being in home, someone physically has to go into the home and install it. So that was the task set. I locked myself in my laboratory. I actually grew a beard. I have a photo of myself with a beard at the time, and did myself out. And I came up with this device here, and it's designed so that it fits through the standard UK letterbox. Everyone in the UK has a letterbox in their front door, and it's designed to fit through the letterbox. The batteries last a minimum of 5 years, and the installation is really simple. There is a battery isolation tab there, and then when the device is physically removed from its cardboard or its carton packaging, that pops out, and that's the device activated. That's the installation done. And all they do is they put that on the shelf in the kitchen, anywhere in the kitchen. And that means it doesn't have to be relocated in a specific position. It doesn't have an infrared sensor looking at movement. You can stick it behind a pasta jar or out of sight, because all it does is has atmospheric sensors in it. And those atmospheric sensors are sensing the atmosphere in real time, temperature, humidity, CO2, and others. And we aggregate all that atmospheric data to our own cloud analytics AI platform. And we use a machine learning algorithm that can detect, now it can detect the patterns only associated with the preparation of food and drink. And so what we do in the cloud then is we build a digital twin of Doris's behavior, and then we normalize her behavior against her own routine. And if she should materially deviate in any negative way, she gets a phone call from our care providers. Hey, are you okay? We've noticed that you've slowed down. And it's been a tremendous success. We've saved numbers of lives. I've lost count. Every time we save a life, my business partner, Emma, gets very teary, and I get goosebumps, and you don't get that from smart parking or smart waste. It's a real impact to people's lives. So yeah, we now sell this in the UK, and we have plans for wider reach. But it's been an interesting journey and a very fulfilling one, to be honest with you.
I love the simplicity of the product and the ease of installation. So I assume it has a 4G or 5G chip for the communications, and it can connect to any cellular network.
Indeed, yes. So part of the 5G specification is a subset of protocols. One is called NB-IoT, narrowband IoT. The other one is called LTE Cat-M, which was derived from the 4G spec, but now ratified as 5G. And those two protocols sit very nicely in a very low power communication domain. low bit rate, low power. We're only sending, not even kilobits of information a day, just bits of information a day, and that's sufficient to be able to give us the insights that we need. And that means that the batteries in here that fit through the standard letterbox, they
Last for long.
They last for years. Yep. And, that enables us to keep that monitoring at a cost point that's scalable.
I love the synergy and the similarity to a product that I developed in my previous life, also that was geared to monitoring, passively monitoring the activities of daily living and instrumental activities of daily living using motion sensors, temperature sensor on top of the stove, cabinets on switches on cabinets and pantry doors, microwave oven door, and so on and so forth. It was a little bit more granular, but I love it. So how much does your device sell for, and where can people buy it? If someone is interested in the US to buy it, would they be able to, Neal?
So it's retailing in the UK at £15 a month as a service through our partner AXA Healthcare. They supply into an organisation called Age UK. So if you Google Taking Care Sense now, you can order one and have one delivered in the UK to your mother or your grandparents or whoever. We don't have a distributor in the US yet. We are looking for a distributor. We would not enter into that market without a
partner,
a seasoned partner to help us on the journey. But yeah, we are looking to make that leap. Because we're using 3GPP standards as part of the 5G standard, the protocols work everywhere. And there are different frequency bands, which is a small tweak in the factory. You have a US version and a UK version. We've done that in other countries across Europe. But yeah, the compatibility is already built in.
Excellent. So what are some of the challenges that are impacting your broader adoption and growth? Maybe in the UK first, but also globally.
Well, I might be guilty of getting on my soapbox and complaining too vehemently about the UK situation as it relates to funding for adult social care. I don't want to be in a position where I'm a naysayer, but the adult social care system in the UK is funded by local government, specifically by the councils, and really the benefit that we're bringing here is on a cost point, not on a moral point, of course, but on a cost point, is that when you're interacting as a data-driven prioritized entity into a vulnerable independent person, what you're really doing is you're preventing them being in an emergency. You're preventing the blue lights.
Yep.
So the NHS, the healthcare programs in the UK have their budgets. The local authorities have their budgets, and the challenge is trying to get the local authorities to spend their budget when the money saving is outside their budget. And morally, it shouldn't be a question, but budgets are budgets, and they get applied and they get disseminated. And so what we found is selling direct
to consumers who can afford it. Yeah,
right. In the B2C market is it's a great route to market, but the real impact is for local authorities and councils to streamline their operations and give prioritized data-driven insights to those carers that are under the council payroll to make them more efficient. That is starting to happen. Councils are moving towards a more proactive paradigm in the UK, albeit very slowly. What hasn't helped is that the UK was scheduled to switch off the PSTN analog lines last year for the old button in the box situation, and councils had a budget built up for that digital transformation. And then because of the challenges around switch off for various reasons, that was delayed, and therefore the councils then said, we can delay our digital transformation now, and because they're all very, very cost conscious, they allocated those budgets elsewhere. So it is a difficult ecosystem to navigate in terms of going to market within local authorities in the UK for adult social care. So yeah, the consumer market is the one that we've been focusing on because it's a very straightforward and scalable route to market. But we're not shying away from engaging with local authorities. We have a few customers, and those customers are growing, just at a very slow pace.
Sure, but again, I think the other aspect related to selling through the local authorities is reaching the not only the vulnerable population, but also the ones who cannot afford to buy this product, right, on their own, out of their own resources, right? So there's an ethical sort of aspect to that growth.
Absolutely, you know, if you've got a monitoring solution and you're going into a residence who is vulnerable because of their age, but also who is economically challenged, then, you know, if you're trying to persuade them to plug in a monitoring solution into their mains electricity, that's a problem, because the perception is that they have to pay for that electricity, even though it's very small. That is another hurdle to get over, which is why we're wholly back-powered. And the other challenge being is that not everyone can afford Wi-Fi, not everyone can afford broadband, not everyone can have that backhaul link for certain products, which is why we have to be standalone, and that makes this product very accessible to the economically
challenged,
and as well as the vulnerable themselves.
That's great. So apart from the let's focus a little bit on the consumer market. What are some of your growth goals, and what metrics would you use to evaluate sort of making progress towards those goals? What marketing techniques are you currently using, and what are some of your goals with that regard?
Sure. So we're in early stages at the moment. I'm a CTO, not a marketing man, and so my view, we believe the best people, the best organisations suited to take a product to market are those entrenched in that market already. I'm not pretending that I can come to the adult social care space as a technologist and navigate that ecosystem without a partner. And so we always look for resellers. Principally in our business, we ask ourselves two questions when we build a new vertical solution, be it bins or parking, or in this case, adult social care monitoring. We ask ourselves two questions before we commit to building anything, and that is, one, can we materially differentiate against the state of the art for that vertical? And if we can't materially differentiate for the state of the art in that vertical, it's a Me Too proposition. It's a race to the bottom on commoditization. It doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
The second question we ask ourselves is, can we win the UK's #1 customer, the biggest? And if we can't, we won't build it either. So for parking, it was Ringo. For bins, it was Biffa. For adult social care, it's AXA Healthcare. And so we've partnered with AXA Healthcare, specifically Taking Care, and they are our primary go-to-market vehicle. We also have partnered with a care provider called Careint, and you can buy the product today from both of those guys. What our goals and our metrics are for success is to keep that double-digit CAGR long term, and what we love about our resellers is that they are experts in the care market. They have a very well-established and respected footprint of care provision in the UK. And they recognise that proactive monitoring, passive proactive monitoring, unobtrusively, is a huge win when we know, for example, as I repeated earlier, 92% of the push button solutions are ineffective. How do you know that person is going to get a call when they need it? Well, proactive passive monitoring by any measure is very well received by those established partners that we have in the market today.
What opportunities do you see for evolving this solution technology and AI, for example, adding monitoring for other things like fall detection, like biometrics, and so on and so forth? And if you had an AI or tech magic wand, what would you point it at to solve for you?
Right, so we already have embarked on this journey of doing more. So the product that we have today, standalone single box, is we call DorisCare. We have a portfolio of other sensors that come under the umbrella of what we marketed as Doris Pro, but we haven't taken that to market yet. The reason we haven't taken it to market is because of the reasons I gave before, which is the deacceleration of digital transformation in the market in the UK as a whole. But to echo your point earlier, you said you built door monitoring, open close events, whether a temperature over the cooker and all these other devices around the home. That requires someone to go in and do the installation, and that's great. Sure. This one. So what we've the overarching principle of what we do is we don't like to call our installers idiots, but we're idiot proof. I like to go on to say
you like the KISS principle, right?
Right. If you need a trained personnel, an engineer or a maintenance person to go and install something that we haven't done our job correctly.
Yeah.
So everything we do is as close to zero effort installation as possible. And we've developed a portfolio of products. We have toilet flush sensing, we have shower detection, bath detection, so we can monitor the well-being of that resident. We have particulate measurements, we have air quality sensors, we have ventilation sensors, so we can know the well-being of the home is correctly ventilated. We have a patent under application, which I can't talk too much about, by uniquely tracking activity and movement around the house without having to wear anything and without having to install anything on any wall, which is a lot of competitive solutions have ultra-narrowband and radar sensors for that. So everything we do is absolutely in line with this philosophy of KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. So on that regard, Doris Pro is a product in the making. Now, where we believe the market needs to go is that carers, people at the front end, in the coalface of caring, they're not technologists. Okay, so when you present a dashboard with all this data, they're looking at it and going, what does it mean to me as a carer? But what the carers do understand is the legislation upon which they have to work with. And in the UK, that's the 2014 Care Act. And so what we do is we use AI to present all of that data surfaced in alignment with the
context of that.
The context of the 2014 Care Act. And that means that I don't, as a carer, I don't have to log onto a dashboard and have a look at graphs and say, what does this mean? I can get a score relating to those measurable entities that I must report on, and it's fully automated. And that means that doing Care Act assessments, which need to be done by law in the UK, can be fully automated. And what you're doing is you're deploying solutions that are zero effort to install, that can give a Care Act assessment without that really time cost burden being bestowed on the carer themselves. And instead of doing assessments, they can really focus their time on actually providing care.
Excellent. Does it? Do you envision, or does it currently have any decision support? So from assessment to root cause analysis to potentially making recommendations for the carers, for the care team?
So
not the direct care worker, the CNA, but maybe the nurse or the care manager.
those scores within the 2014 Care Act do have specified desired outcomes depending on where they sit on the assessment. So the support for the triage of the insights is already documented and well understood in the industry.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're accelerating and making more accurate rather than using human subjective assessments. We're using data-driven assessments. You know, when you ask a resident who's elderly, how many times are you doing action X, Y, or Z per day? They'll give you a number, and it's never the same number that meets reality.
Sure.
And so, you know, the data doesn't lie.
Objective self-report.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent. So last couple of questions here. What advice would you offer or like to share with the audience, whether it's technology developers, partners in the healthcare ecosystem, or care providers, caregivers?
Oh, advice. My advice is to anyone adopting technology is to make the assertion that if it doesn't reduce manpower or human overheads, then it's not a benefit. It's so often the case that smart devices, smart intelligence is deployed, which then someone has to interpret and act upon. And if it's generating more human activity as it relates to the burden of care, that's no solution. That's just another headache. And
or if it increases noise instead of discerning noise from signal.
Right. So in order to, you know, you've got to be in a position whenever you're looking at technology for the social care market, is it must address a problem statement. And so many times before in the technology field, it's like, oh, that's clever, that sounds really cool. But unless you've got a crisp, very well-defined problem statement that the technology is going to solve unequivocally with precision at a cost point that makes sense, don't deploy the technology. What happens, there are many competitors in the world, and we approach a customer and they say, oh, we tried IoT, it doesn't work. It's like, yes,
Exactly.
you haven't tried.
There's a lot there that could be unpacked, right?
And what's happening is there is a lack of rigor and diligence put on the problem statement that goes ahead of any decision to deploy technology. And that rigor and clear, crisp understanding of what the technology is solving, rather than going, oh, let's be proactive. Oh, this is the new buzzword. Let's get some smart devices and then see what happens. No, you've got to really think it through, and you've got to be very, very precise with what you're doing. And it takes focus and effort. It is not something, it's not a silver bullet. Smart technology for adult social care is no silver bullet, but it really does move the needle on efficiency. It really does move the needle on care, but it has to be done with rigor and precision, and there's no escape from that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when someone tells me this, we tried this solution and it didn't work, I try to ask them, let's peel back the layers of this onion. Was it the right product for the right problem? Was it the right setting? Was it? Did you train was the staff trained on it? And did you have issues with installation, issues with infrastructure, connectivity? There could be a lot of reasons for that.
A myriad. And you know what? Every customer has run a pilot and decided not to do it, all for different reasons.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Neal, for your time today. I want to also thank the audience for watching up to this point. But if someone is interested in buying your product, where would they buy it? Where can they learn more about you or IoT Solutions Group?
Absolutely. You can email us at hello@iotsg.co.uk. You can buy the product today online by Googling Taking Care Sense. And if you're not based in the UK and you're interested, please email me at neal.forse@iotsg.co.uk, or the hello email address is on our website. Please get in touch. Always delighted to talk to people around our product, because it's changing lives for the better.
Excellent. Thank you so much again, Neal.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I appreciate it and look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you.